Hello and welcome to Up the Potting Shed. It's an exciting episode. My polytunnel is finally finished and this captures the last few days, 3 or 4 days of me setting it up. Also includes a polytunnel haul. I've done some shopping, so watch to the end to catch what I buy. Come on, let's have a look. And there is the new polytunnel, all finished. With its mesh skirt all tucked in and as tight as we could get it. I mean, what a palaver. Got the greenhouse tucked in behind the blackcurrants, it's the secret garden. The polytunnel, the orchard, and if you can see, tucked in behind the orchard, we've got the potting shed. Yesterday was my first full day. Let's take a little look at what I got up to. I'd actually got a no-dig bed underneath the polytunnel, so it's a case of re-establish it. Oh, these are the casualties of trying to keep too many tomatoes under staging, and I didn't even get to pop these on. I felt so sorry for them because they're actually standing up despite their tiny pots, so I'm going to plant them anyway. It's me attempting to dig with my bad knees. I soon give this up, get the trowel out. The ground's not too bad actually. I did pinch a lot of the topsoil to fill a planter, but I'm doing the best I can with it. It's not going to be great this season, but I'll amend it this year. I'll have a lot of compost at the end of the year, so each season it'll get better. Back in the potting shed, I've got my first tunnels calendar. It's still on May, so I'll turn it over to June. And let's have a little look at what it says. So sowing and growing. I could be sowing beetroot, I've got beetroot. Broccoli, I've got broccoli. I'm going to sow some more carrots because my attempt at transplanting carrots so far has turned out to be an epic fail, as you saw in my last video. Cauliflower, I've got cauliflowers in my vertical DIY composting planter. They are giants. No sign of a cauliflower yet, but I'm so amazed at how well they're growing in that planter. Coriander I've harvested a lot, but it's already going to seed. I'm fine with that. I'd love to get some coriander seed. Cucumbers galore. I've got a couple in the greenhouse and the others are going in the polytunnel. Daikon fennel, no. French beans. I have had such a job germinating French beans. I've tried twice and they've just not come up, and I put some in about midway through last week. We'll see. I hope this was supposed to be a year where I went big on beans, and typically all the germination has failed on the French beans and the dwarf beans. I've tried twice and failed. I put some more in last week. We'll see. The only thing that's grown successfully are the violet cosa bean. Kale, haven't sown that. It's still plenty of time to sow kale. Kohlrabi I don't grow. Pak choy, I'm not doing pak choy this year because it bolts. Parsley I've got. Radishes, can't grow a radish. If you have any secrets to growing radishes, please let me know in the comments, because I have never been able to grow a radish. The tops grow and nothing underneath. Rocket, I've got salad leaves abundantly. Spinach, yes, I've sown my perpetual spinach, and I've got a little video coming up on a planter that I've rescued from underneath my holly bush. So that's doing well. Spring onions I've got in my strawberry planter, which is now a salad planter. And sweet corn I've got in my hexagonal bed in the secret garden. So what could I be harvesting if I'd got a move on? Aubergines, I've never grown an aubergine. A basil, yes, I've got basil. I've planted basil underneath the tomatoes in the polytunnel. Broad beans, about to harvest them. Broccoli, no. Cabbages, yes, nearly. Carrots, epic fail. Cauliflower, not yet. Celery, of course I've got celery. These I heard that celery was really difficult to germinate and grow, but I must say, for a first time go, it's done wonderfully. Had so much success that I've got a load of leftovers that have just been left in these little pots. I think I'll transplant those somewhere in the polytunnel and just see how they go. So I've got celery, garlic. Well, one bed of garlic was an epic fail. Well, you say epic fail. Here they are. I planted these in the planter that's very shaded under the holly bush. So I think it's quite dry as well, that planter. And they never looked great right from the start. Compared to some I have going in the secret garden that, fingers crossed, are quite good. So these didn't split despite the chronic temperatures, and they're teeny. They're not going to go to waste. They shall all go through the dehydrator and I'll make dried garlic granules out of them. Right, let's get back into the potting shed. I've got some things to carry in there. So before we head back into the polytunnel, as you can see, not many tomatoes left in here. Not really sure whether I'll plant these up. They're flowering. They probably deserve a chance, but look at the size pots that they're in. These have been hanging on bravely. They're all destined for the polytunnel. I'm just trying to get them in as quickly as possible. So cucurbits, melons, more cucumbers. I'm hoping to establish a brassica bed. Oh, and if you want an update on the little bonsai chilies, they're doing great. And that one has a tiny little bud on it. Oh, hello Pickle. You're an absolute mess. More dog grooming, less gardening. You're a pot monster. That's a good pot. I'll find you a bad... You're a pot monster, aren't you? I'll find you an old pot to play with. Trouble is, she doesn't like old pots, and she doesn't like little pots. She likes the really nice pots. The strawberries are really enjoying it. I'll leave them in here until they're finished, and then I'll chuck them outside. The peppers, not so. They're looking a bit shabby on the top, but I think that could be because they're starting to bud up. I've noticed that about sweet peppers and chilies. As they start to get their buds, they get crinkly leaves on top, so I'm not overly concerned about them. I'll keep an eye on them. Yes, definitely got some buds forming in there. I think the top leaves just get a bit stressed. This one's the same. I'm going to give them a good feed of chili focus. That'll cheer them up. Planted up the quad grows, it's a couple of melons. They're both cantaloupe, and one is Minnesota Midget and the other is Collective Women's Farm, both from real seeds. The other quad grow is going to have a couple of melons in it, but I haven't got around to that yet. Time, where does it go? As you can see, I've put a grate up to stop Pickle getting in. I'm absolutely loving my view. Those lupins are beautiful. There's Pickle having a good hunt round. She can smell bloodfish and bone. I put a little bit into the centre bed there because, as I mentioned earlier on, I did steal quite a lot of the topsoil. It was previously a no-dig bed, but it's feeling a bit sorry for itself. You won't find any over there, Pickle. So those are the large leaf basil. And I've got a few calendula sprinkled around. Really excited to see what that looks like. I'm imagining huge basil bushes interspersed with calendula, with the tomatoes towering above them. Those sorry looking yellow leaves are my celery. Most of them got planted into the DIY milk cartons, but these were the leftovers. They were in tiny little pots and have gone really yellow. But you know, this is better than the compost heap. Give them a go. Got plant pots on top of each of the canes. I didn't intend to use canes. I really prefer the twine method, but I've been too exhausted to set it up.
Still a lot of tomatoes to plant, but I haven't created the bed yet. The U-shaped bed is going to go along the back, all along the side and up to the melons. The tomatoes are hanging on in there. They're doing quite well. They're full of flowers. You know, it's suck it and see this year. I'm going to do the best I can for them, and I'll be happy with whatever I get. Pickle's got bored. She's waiting to go on a walk.
It's the polytunnel haul. I've been shopping. Let's do some unboxing. Well, first up, look at that. Recommended for age 2 and above. I'm gonna love that. But seriously, look at his little spout. I think he'll be great for some delicate watering. Lovely, cheap little thermometer that had a great review. Picked it up, I think it was about $11.99. It says, if you can make that out, it's in C or in F, and you get it's in C or F, and you get maximum and minimum temperatures. So it'll be going up on the door frame. Brilliant. You can look at after that Brontosaurus. Super duper kneeling pad from Asda. Pop out. 3 bit of foam to go with it. That'll come in handy. I think there's a danger that some grass is going to come up on the back edge, so I'm going to slip that underneath the wood at the bottom, and it'll just act as a bit of a barrier. These are garden arches, you know, the kind of thing you buy to train a rose up. Cheap as chips again. I think these were about the same price as the thermometer. I think they were $11.99 each, something like that. I bought 2 of them. And my idea is to use them to grow melons up over the doorway. I know they wouldn't last 5 minutes out in the garden, but I'm hoping that the polytunnel gives them just enough protection. It's windy outside, and I've got a feeling this camera is picking up every moment of it, so you probably won't even get to watch this. I hope you've enjoyed following along as I experienced my first few days in my polytunnel. Oh, I've so enjoyed it. It's been fantastic, and of course I've been preparing for this for weeks and weeks since the beginning of the season. I've been sowing, germinating, propagating, potting on, bringing on, been valiantly keeping plants alive, and now they get to go into their final growing positions. It's going to be quite a journey, and I hope you'll follow along and share the successes, epic fails. It's a learning curve. That's what I love about gardening. You know, the more that goes wrong, the more you learn, the more you get better. I can remember the first few years gardening and nothing ended up in the kitchen. I hardly harvested anything. But over the last couple of seasons, you know, as I've watched and learned from other YouTube gardeners, and of course one of my absolute heroes, Steve at Green Side Up, who very sadly passed away recently, so much that he taught me means that I'm going to be bringing food to the table this season. One of many great tips that Steve passed on to me was to keep sowing, keep planting. And that's really fantastic. That was really fantastic advice from Steve, because as things have failed, I've got plenty of stuff in the background waiting to go in, so those gaps get filled, and it's wonderful to wander around and everything's full of things that are thriving, but often they've replaced things that failed. That's all for this week. If you have got this far, thank you very much, and please give me a like, give me a share, maybe add a comment. I'm a tiny channel and it all helps. Take care. See you next time.